and we're about 80% certain it's white, but I'm going to do an experiment. Just hang on for a second. White flowers often kind of albino. There's not as much colour even in the foliage or the stems than not just the flowers. So you can often tell a white flower from the coloured flower. Is there a difference? Yes, there is. Look. Hello, it's John Lord here at the end of May, and we've had very mixed weather the last while. We've had a very wet, the wettest April in a long time, but over the last while everything's come back to normal. We've had some good weather and we have some wet weather, and the growth is just amazing. And I'm like, see the shirt I'm wearing? I was a present from someone who watched my YouTube. Her name is Margaret McKenzie from Oregon, and I'm fancy person. When someone says they're from Oregon, oh, is that the West Coast? So they get an oceanic climate. Oh, that's the East. It was the East Coast. They get this. So everything is related to me is what type of plants will grow. But anyway, thanks very much. Much appreciated, Margaret. So this quite by accident. It's very interesting the way plants are named. We use an Aquilegia, and we have a Thalictrum. Thalictrum aquilegifolium, which is the Thalictrum that has foliage like an Aquilegia, and here it is. That's self-seeded, and there's the foliage, and beside it we have an Aquilegia in flower, and both of them, look at the difference, and they're beautiful. Both of them are members of the buttercup family. Now we need to do a bit of weeding, and we need I'm going to get rid of all, we're getting rid of all the Ajuga, because it's never enough to be one thing. And also we've decided to become rootless on the Verbascum chaixii album, which is a super plant. It's about the best, most reliable Verbascum. Its album is white, and if it's the normal, it's yellow. The thing about it, there's the original plant. That's there a long time, and self-seeds. So we're going to be rootless because we sort of turn a blind eye to its seeding, and it's becoming a bit of a pest. So when that happens to a garden plant, you have to treat it like a weed. So any ones that come up now, they're out. And secondly, as soon as it finishes flowering, as the flower spike starts to develop seeds, we're going to remove it. So we're going to try and put manners on it. It's still far too good to get rid of. And then the other thing is we're going to start, we haven't barked for a good while. We're going to go through this, get all the weeds out, and then we'll bark it. And that'll put a stop to a lot of the problems. But we haven't been barking for a few years, and this is what's happened. And when you bark, you get about maybe 3 years before the bark starts disappearing into the ground and it wants to be redone, maybe 4 years. So that's Thalictrum. There it is again. Thalictrum aquilegifolium. An interesting. Look at the difference in colour. Self-seeding. It's quite nice. They're related also to clematis. Peony is going over. It's good. And these are our pests. They're Welsh poppy, which is a pest that's well worth having. And once again with Welsh poppy, be rootless. It's great to have. See the way it's set the seed. What you do very shortly when the flower goes down, when the flower numbers go down, just be rootless, cut it almost to the ground, and it will reflower. Look at this here. Who said the yellow and orange can't go together? That's the Welsh poppy and the Geum. I think that's Geum. It's totally something or other.
Tangerine.
Totally tangerine. Now let me see. No, we won't go here. Oh yes. This is a very good Achillea, and it has very good aphids on it. Full of aphids. We're kind of giving up the chemicals, you know. When I started first in 1973, we used to do entomology, and we would be told the insect and its diverse lifestyle or life cycle, and then at the end you're always told what to spray in it. And when I was in Canada picking tobacco, the plane would go overhead, and we'd all get a good dose of chemical, and all the tobacco worms would fall off the tobacco like this. You know, it was a nerve poison. It didn't kind of do me any harm, and really, I never got head lice since. But but we've sort of cut. It was overdone in the past, so I'm sort of cutting back on using insecticides, and more or less done away with it. What we'll do is just hose it off a few times. That's all. That should do. And let me see, what else have we got here? Yeah, this Erodium. Takes about 2 years to get going. It's related to Geranium, but it's really, really good. Everything about it is good. And I just can't get its name. I don't even know where it came from. But I moved it from out the back. And then I moved some. Here we have some chocolate flowers, the Cosmos. And there's a new form that came second in Chelsea Flower Show. And here we have the thistle. That's the thistle that's not prickly. That's for, is it Generation Z? The one that without the prickle, you can't have anything that one might hurt them. Is that nice? So that's designed for the modern. Oh, probably in trouble now. I said no more plants were to go on the ground. We revamped this last week. We got the actually the spade is the best. Spade is the best hoe you can get. A long handle spade. I'll show you in a minute. And we said no, we're not going to put anything down here. And here we go again. This is Geranium Dragon Heart. It's based on Geranium Poilostemon, and I planted it about 2 years ago. Didn't like it. Took it up. It missed it. It didn't flower. Only flowered once, and I think it was because it was micro-propagated. But someone told me, you're mad, plant it and just give it time, have a bit of what I don't have, which is patience. And you can see it's flowering really well. It's a bigger flower than Anne Falkard and Anne Thompson. And look at there's the repeat. The newer growths are always kind of yellowy. I have to just go in here, take out this Willowherb. So we're going to bark this. We're going to this is Euphorbia Excalibur. So we pulled apart the herbaceous border and replanted lots and I'm very happy with this. I think this is going to, imagine that in a big drift, it'd be great. Really good. So that's the herbaceous border. Don't fill them there, it's full of Willowherb. This is the new area that was just all planted. We had a lovely Calicanthus there, really nice one, and then somebody begged us, could they have it? So I dug it up. I planted this Fuchsia. Now I reckon now with a little bit of heat leaking out from the tunnel, that should come in earlier, come into flower earlier and flower for longer. But this is look at the ground here, how bad it is. It was just gravel. The Hemerocallis are thriving. They were little small ones. They were absolutely thriving. I just wanted something grassy. That's called Firestarter or Fire something. The Geum. Everybody likes it. I found it's a little bit heavy. It's fallen over, but that's because it's fresh and grown very strongly. And there is Hercules. Now, as I say, we're going to bark all this. And I'm just going to do a little tiny bit of weeding here before we bark it. We go over here. Well, okay. You see the long handle spade? You have the long handle spade and you have your hoe, your standard hoe. The hoe is great. Now, I find this the best one because you can turn it this way and you can take stuff out like that. You can go that way. But I find for getting into tight spaces without damaging plants. Otherwise, this is better. There's grass. Look how easy it is. We planted here a lovely pale Geranium sanguineum, and I like contrast. Strong red, the blue of them, some Nepeta, and look, if you look at the base, particularly here, you see all the new growth. Always look for new growth. It's all the new growth. That's going to flower, and all these. It's going to flower for ages. Never had it before, and I put something fluffy beside it. Yellow flower, Coreopsis Zagreb, and something very different. And this is a plant. It's a daisy, which I haven't had. It's Buxton. I think it's Buxton's variety. Anthemis Buxton variety, sort of semi-shrubby, lovely clear yellow daisy, and they were put in only about 2 months ago. In about 2 weeks' time, those big spikes are going to go. Just nip them off, all the big spikes. And see in here the way it's gone very weedy. We're going to go through that with the hoe. We go through it with the hoe, and then we're going to bark it off. Oh yes, Chelsea chop. We're heading towards Chelsea chop time, and here we're a bit behind Chelsea, the week 10 days. So our Chelsea chop, they do it around Chelsea Flower Show. Our one about a week's time, and I'm going to Chelsea chop the Galega. It's not a fashionable plant anymore, but I'll probably Chelsea chop it in about a week's time. I'll bring it down to about here. Look, it's going to come into flower. And remember the pea family, very, very good. But it was popular in Victorian times. But in those days, your average house would have about 6 gardeners and 8 under gardeners, and everything was tied up. And we don't have the time now to do that. So anyway, that's the Galega. I'm going to Chelsea chop it, and I'm going to Chelsea chop the Helenium as well. Let's see. Planted a Galega here. It's facing full south. This is the best aspect we have. Planted that Galega. Whirling butterflies. 2 Shasta daisies. The one with the yellow flower. And Sweet William. We planted 3 Sweet William, which people, very popular in the olden days. It was grown as a biennial. Seed would have been sown outside in, say, June, July, and then it would have been planted out in the autumn, flower in early summer the following year, then taken up and replanted. That was when the gardeners were 10 a penny. It is actually perennial, and in dry conditions would live for years, dry sunny conditions. Now I wanted something fluffy beside it, so I just did this yesterday, put an Achillea in there, and that foxglove was gone for the bin, so I rescued it from the bin. It's a bit tatty, but it should come back. And then we have, that's a tree lupin, and it needs to be, I need to tie it to the stake. That's going to be really good. And beside it we have hawthorn, which has to come up. Sorry. What else? This is all new. I went mad in Echinacea because I had trouble with Echinacea 20 years ago, so I'll never do them again. And then I just changed my mind, and I put that's a Magnus. That's the purpley one. That's a white one. That's a white one. That's a yellow one. I put an orange one here, all facing south. I put in 2 Malvas, and they're native to Ireland. See them? I was on the train journey last week to Wexford, and I could see them growing by the sea, just to give a bit of height. And we planted here. We planted a Crocosmia Hellfire, which I planted in a rich, more shady place, and it fell over. So I'm hoping with the extra sun and the dryness from the pine trees, it won't be as high. And it's better. It's a redder flower than Lucifer, so it should be better. But I won't. If it flops, it's gone. And then we planted just a few snapdragons, Antherinum, that were going for the bin. You see they weren't great. We were going to throw them in the bin, so I was mercy on them. And another Malva, blue Malva, primly blue. And this is super. Look at that. That was there already. That is a super Euphorbia. I think it's Euphorbia Excalibur, absolute cracking Euphorbia. That's the dwarf Helenium. Doesn't need to be Chelsea chopped. And I put in a few bronzy foliaged Jacob's Ladders Polemoniums, just for different texture. And the star of the show are these Geraniums. They're supposed to be based on Geranium pilostem, and you know when you go onto the internet and try and find out, they're new. They're supposedly Geranium. When I get a new plant, I always try to find out its species, because then you have some idea. You can relate it to something. But it's very small flower, very unusual, and a lot of good reviews. Now, best way to judge a restaurant is to eat the food, not read the review. So we'll know it's either going to be the star of the show or it'll be for the compost heap. It's up to itself. We did a little bit of work here. This is shady. We look at the lovely dogwood. That's China Girl. And we planted some Japanese Hakanaklo grass there. We planted a dwarfish Bergenia, and what they need is dry shade. They have to be dry, and it's dry here, big compliments of the dogwood. And some Lamium I dug up. It's the pink one. I dug up from where it wasn't seen. So that's sort of pink Lamium. So that's that finished. We had they were just planted 10 minutes ago. Now I've moved that one. I'm going to move him slightly. Ground is like mush. And I forgot to change my shoes. No wonder it didn't grow. we had polypody ferns in here and it didn't grow. Just didn't grow. That soil is terrible. Here, get the real mucky stuff in there. That is terrible. But we think the new geranium, and I looked it up on the internet, I think it's geranium based on geranium fame. It's a double one. But that should work. I'll tell you why. Because next door we have the white geranium fame. And the geranium fame is normally dark and it's called a morning widow. So what would you call a white geranium fame? That's easy, the merry widow. It's easy. Funny enough, what you do with the soil, you leave it alone. That's it. You leave it alone and sort itself out. We absolutely hammered the laurels. Chainsawed a lot. And look at it coming back, flying back. That's the thing about laurel, don't be afraid. Oh, here we are. This has to be all barked. We planted this a week ago. It's a Eupatorium. And it's meant to be the white one. And we're about 80% certain it's white, but I'm going to do an experiment. Just hang on for a second. That's the normal Eupatorium, the Joe Pyeweed. And white flowers often kind of albino. There's not as much colour even in the foliage or the stems than not just the flowers. So you can often tell a white flower from the coloured flower. Is there a difference? Yes, there is. Look. Look, the red against the ordinary one and the white one. So you've learned something. It would be terrible, all that work, barked, and then it comes up the same. It's just an ordinary bog standard Joe Pye weed. I remember about this one, I had it in a bad place for the last few years, it never did. But when I saw it in its full glory, the flower heads were that size. It was just amazing. So hopefully it'll do the same there. Oh yes, we planted wild Eve. David Austin Rose, really good David Austin Rose. We had Hydrangea Annabelle. Don't go any further into the bed because we can't. See, David, we can't go in. Planted Annabelle, and we dug the Annabelle up, but Annabelle is a suckering hydrangea. Terrible, isn't it, what I have to do? There it is again. You just have to get rid of all the Annabelle. Sorry, in the wrong place. You probably won't. I don't think we show this bit because the Hydrangea Society could be onto us, you know what they're like. Rose Bengal Crimson, I put it there and I'm not madly happy about it. See, look at all the Verbascum we have to get rid of. All the stuff coming up, we have to get rid of all Verbascum. It's just too gangly for there. Behind we have the amazing, and it is amazing, bronze fennel. So we're making the decision right now. That's it. Sorry, folks. Now that's up. Great. You can see the Verbascum. Get rid of all Verbascum. 2 more bronze fennels. 1 to 2. Job finished. I just want that hazy, bronzy effect at the back. Now, what do we do with this? I think Bengal Crimson is more for against the wall because there's that open, luscious effect about it. That will just grow away. We stick that in a pot and it'll just grow away. Here. I know that. As I said many times before, the leaves suck the water up. So when you dig something up, when you remove a lot of leaves, you take the pressure off the roots. And what the plant hunkers down then and just gets itself ready again, and off it goes again. Okay, that's Bengal Crimson. Be all right there for 5 minutes because that's video will be finished in 5 minutes. Oh, look at these 2 amazing Physocarpus. And what's good about Physocarpus is it's dark, but it's a rich darkness, and the flowers are whiter and they show up. The pale flowers show up against the darkness, but it just has enough richness not to be dull. I mean, that's duller. That's the twisty hazel. Look, there's a lot of dullness about the hazel. Now, I think that's Diablo. Look at this here. There's something, I don't know, something unusual about that. It's called a sport. That's Diablo, and that's Lady in Red. And Lady in Red is just, if you have a choice between the 2, go for Lady in Red because it's just that little bit richer. Let me see. planting up here. We planted 3, but we're going to plant 4. Aruncus fairy hair, little dwarf Aruncus. We're going to plant this because I won't have it again probably. It's called Rebecca's City Garden, probably an American variety. It's very sunny here, even though it has a shady look. We're planting Carangashoma. Super plant, absolutely super. And it's the textural differences I always go for. And we're putting 2 Sanguisorba lilacs squirrel over there, very different. And we've already planted 3 ferns. Polystichum unitum it's called, big tall fern. Really good. And look at that. That's Milky Way. We planted that. We only planted a short. There's big. Used to be big bamboo here. A massive big phyllostaceae. No, it was a Rodgersia, and it nearly wrecked the mini digger getting it out. And we open all that ground up. What we do is we'll probably remove that, remove a few. We'll see what's getting in the way, the light from our chestnut tree. And that was moved. Is it doing? Look at the middle. Look at the middle. It's not doing brilliantly. You could take all the old stuff out. It's had time. But I think that's new. I think that's going to be okay. And what else have we got in here? Look at that. That's Dryopterus Aphaenus, the king. Isn't that amazing? That's native to Ireland. And that's the sound of the forklift delivering a bale of bark. We better finish. Loads more to do, so we'll finish here and then we'll do another video. I think we'll do another video because it's gone on far too long. We'll just finish it out. Isn't that amazing, that Centuria? And funny, that's a Centuria too. That one has, I think, a blue flower, or is it yellow flower? I can't remember. Look at the 2 Centurias facing full south, and we have a lot. That was just a little bit of a picky thing. We have, I think that's an orange Echinacea. We have the Centuria. We have an evening primrose. We have a very strong Erodium. We have another Centuria. We have a Linaria, all different, and we have that Euphorbia Excalibur, and the bee seems to like it, so it's bee pollinated. Here, hello. And I think that will do us, and then we'll do a second video.